السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد. Just waiting for Sheikh Mohammad and Ustad Mansur to join us. Until then, just wanted to say, keep us all in your du'as, inshallah. It's the last 10 days of Ramadan. May Allah accept our deeds, our prayers, our salat, our sujud, our du'as, our qiyam, everything. And of course the fasting. Do I hear an echo? Our du'as, our... Okay, I think that should eliminate it. So Sheikh Mohammad will be joining us for the Q&A. So if you guys got your Q&As, please keep them ready, inshallah. And we'll take it from there.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, Ustad Hashim? Just having camera connection issues, inshallah, but my audio seems to be working. I shall be trying to fix this. There's Sheikh here. Let's join him, inshallah.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khair. How are you? Inshallah ta'ala, you okay?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It's good to
For-
have you back.
Forgive me for being late today. Forgive me, and subhanallah, I just finished the session just now, inshallah. So just forgive me, inshallah.
That's okay. We can imagine you're back to back, one program after the other. I mean, you know, it is.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, that's a blessing of Allah. And after this, another. Allah understand.
It's okay. Whatever time you got, Sheikh, that'll be great.
I am with you, inshallah. I'm with you all the way, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay, that's fine.
How was your day? Good? Other than the busy?
Wallah, alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khair. Allah barik fikum, alhamdulillah. It was good, Jazakumullah khair.
Yeah, the days are flying by so quickly, isn't it?
Subhanallah.
Hashim, there's an
Yesterday
echo from
Ramadan
your
started. Yesterday Ramadan started and tomorrow is finished. Subhanallah, as if La ilaha illallah.
Subhanallah. Is there an echo on my side?
Yeah.
Okay. echo-
I'm going to
echo.
try
Yes.
rejoining, if you don't mind, just to see if my camera is sorted. I'm back there.
Right, I think the echo should disappear now. Oh, still there. How is it now? Mansur? Can
There's
see
still
it?
echo. There is still echo.
So, I don't know. Is one of your tabs open? Because mine are all closed. Still echo?
There's still echo.
Yeah, I don't know. See if you got any tabs open, Sheikh. I don't know if it's from my side or...
I think it's from your side.
Yeah, some are saying no echo, some are saying echoes. I don't know which one. All right, inshallah, we'll carry on as it is, Sheikh. You'll be doing most of the speaking. I'll be quiet.
That's fine.
So yeah, give us some
I could hear
reflections
myself when I say
about the last 10 days.
When I say something, I could hear myself. So that's why.
Oh, is it? So maybe your tab is open. Check if any tab is open. Any YouTube
Which
tab
tab?
is open. Mansur, we can't hear you.
It's okay.
Everyone's having technical issues
Technical
today.
issues.
Let me try this.
Sheikh, you're the only one who's perfect. So inshallah, please go ahead and tell us something about how we should make the most of the last 10 days, inshallah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala. Alhamdulillah that Allah has enabled us to live for another Ramadan. And Alhamdulillah that Allah made us to witness another Ramadan, to remind myself and my brothers and sisters the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was climbing the member. And then he was saying Ameen 3 times. And then they asked him, "Oh, Mashallah, Allah would have you saying Ameen 3 times." He said, alayhi salatu salam, Jibreel alayhi salam came and he said to me something. And then he was making dua. He said that رغم أنف امرئ, may a person his nose to be in dust, أو بعد وخسر, meaning may him to be away and may him be lose, meaning losing the best of Allah, that those ones. And then he made dua against 3 types of people. And the first person, he said, the one who witnessed the month of Ramadan and didn't gain forgiveness from Allah Azza wa Jal. May him to be away from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, and may him to be humiliated in the day of Jannah. The one who's making dua was Jibreel alayhi salam. And the one who is saying Ameen is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then he said the second time, Ameen, may a person that witnessed one of his parents or both of them alive, and then he didn't gain forgiveness from Allah Azza wa Jal, may him to be humiliated, or his nose to be in dust and to be away from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then the Prophet he said, Ameen. The third time, may a person that your name was mentioned in front of them, and he didn't send salutation upon you, may this person be humiliated and to be away from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. And then the Prophet he said, Ameen. From this hadith, it indicates that the right of the Prophet to send salutation on him, and as of the right of our parents to gain forgiveness from Allah through being good to them and treating them according to Allah and His Messenger commandments, and as well the right of the month of Ramadan upon us to make sure that we gain forgiveness from Allah if we try our best to be close to Allah, especially in these blessed days of Ramadan. And that is what we need to get it. So now Ramadan is, as someone said, most of it has gone, but the greatest of it is still there. So try to take advantage of the Allah.
Jazakallah khair. Can anyone still hear me? I mean, is my audio hearable? But there seems to be an echo as well coming from all of our speakers or microphones.
I think I can hear you okay.
Okay, we'll just take one question just to see how Sheikh's
if I come back, the echo, when I joined, the echo was
Say again, Sheikh?
I mean, before I joined, the echo was there?
Before you joined? Yeah, I could hear some echo on Mansur's here.
Sheikh, do you have any YouTube tab open by any chance?
No.
Yeah, I think we all are suffering from the same thing. So it's maybe
Could be a streaming audio issue or something.
Yeah. The main thing is, if you guys can hear Sheikh Mohammad, please give us a thumbs up. That's the main thing.
So Sheikh, let me start the question and see whether your audio is visible. Clearly. What to prioritize after Taraweeh for the last 10 nights? Prayer, Quran, dhikr, dua.
Because I couldn't hear you properly because of the echo. What the priority is after Taraweeh for the last 10 nights of Ramadan? Yeah, Quran, Dua, and Azkar. This is what the main thing. Sadaqah, if you are able to do it, even in the night, and try to make Dua, try to utilize the time making Dua. Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they said to the Aisha radiallahu anha, she said to Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if it was the night of Al-Qadr, what should I do? And then he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, say, Allahumma laka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Allah, you are afu, you are pardoning, and you are the pardon one, and you love pardoning, so pardon me. And in the hadith, innaka afuwun kareem tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. So you may make this dua, inshallah ta'ala, in the night of Al-Qadr, and try to utilize your time in making dua and being close to Allah Azza wa Jal. Is that clear?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we did.
Jazakallah
Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, the echo disappeared.
Yeah, I think what I did was I went to your mic settings and canceled the echo. There's an option there, echo cancellation.
Now it came back now after you stopped.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think the echo is coming from Hashim's mic.
Is it? Because I've cancelled my echo cancellation.
Cancel your mic, Hashim.
Okay.
Let me take another question.
Is it better now?
No, they still. Cancel your mic now.
You can hear the echo still?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be quiet then.
Okay, that's fine. question.
Did he cancel his mic? Have you done it?
We can hear it from everyone.
Hashim, mute your mic and just let's see.
Okay, I'm going to.
Okay, Mansur, talk.
So if I'm speaking now, can you hear an echo?
No echo.
No echo.
No echo.
It's not coming.
Yeah, this is the bug from Hashim.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me remove myself
And come
from the
back
bug,
again.
and then I'll come back, inshallah.
Okay. No problem. Okay, Sheikh. Last 10 days, people often ask this question again. I'm sure you've heard this so many times. The odd nights and the even nights. There are people who would only go for the odd nights, thinking it's going to be like Qadr, because that's how the understanding is. But looking at different parts of the world, the night and day times are different for different people, right? So while it's daytime for us now here, it could be nighttime for someone else. So the day and night between the odd and even nights is quite, there's a the merge between them. What is the best advice then in this case? Do all the 10 days, 10 nights, or just think your local, whatever geographical position you are in, and you only consider the odd nights?
Listen, we have a few hadith. It will indicate to you the conclusion. After listening to this all hadith, you will conclude that we have to take advantage in every single moment in the last night of Ramadan. Firstly, he mentioned تحروها في الوتر من العشر الأواخر, in the odd number in the last night of Ramadan. That's one hadith. He said as well, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, for 9 days or 7 days or 9 days or 7 days or 5 days or 3 days until the end of Ramadan. If you did this, it means you're talking about the even numbers. Because if and Ramadan, we don't know if Ramadan is 30 days or 29 days.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. If we say if Ramadan is 30 days, then 7 days until the end of Ramadan days, it is the odd number. If it's 9 days, if it's 29 days, then we have here, we're talking about the day of 24th. And even at the time of the Sahaba, radiallahu anhu, sometimes that the night of Al-Qadr, that some of them witnessed that it was the 24th of Ramadan. Some of them has witnessed that it was the 27th of Ramadan. Some of them has witnessed that it was the 23rd of Ramadan. And so on and so forth. And some of them, they have witnessed towards the 29th of Ramadan. So because of this, we don't know. And Allah purposely made it hidden for us, in order for us to take care of every single night in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Then we'll understand the concept of taking advantage of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Because Allah, the purpose, the wisdom behind it, rather than to be checking every other day just to see which is it an odd number, is it even number, what is it? And instead of doing this, you will be just only focusing on ibadah. That is the aim behind it. Is that clear?
Barakallah fi.
Barakallah.
So it's best position to take is take the whole 10 days or 10 nights. And this is one of the reasons why the i'tikaf is recommended. So you go there in seclusion and you seek Laylatul Qadr from there. Isn't that right?
Exactly, yeah. This for the people who are doing i'tikaf in the 3 masajid, and either in Mecca or Medina or Masjid al-Aqsa. Yes.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan. Okay, next question. It says, Assalamu alaikum.
Because
Some brothers say...
I believe that I'm inclined to the opinion that the i'tikaf is only in the 3 masajid, in these 3 masajid. The other ones, you may spend time, but the i'tikaf, which is mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, is mainly on this. Even though vast majority of the scholars, they believe you could do i'tikaf in any jami' masjid, masjid which they hold Jum'ah and Jama'at, but I'm more inclined to say it's only restricted with the 3 masajid. Allah Ta'ala alam. Anyway, so that's why try your best, inshallah ta'ala, in the last 10 days of Ramadan. Utilize every single second that you can do to make dua and be close to Allah Azza and worship Allah Azza to the best of your ability, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. So this is Abbas Abdullah is saying, Assalamu alaikum. Somebody say they lose their temper more in Ramadan. What is your advice and solution for this?
Firstly, you should increase the amount of liquid in the sahur. Yeah. So you need to increase a bit
Subhanallah,
more
Sheikh,
liquid.
the first advice is coming as a medical advice. Subhanallah. Yeah, carry on.
Because we need to understand, we have to be balanced. Yes, we will tell you, say, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim," you know, make wudu, wash your face, etc. That's some. And at the same time, many people, and I know especially people who have some conditions, especially people diabetic, you know, people who have diabetes and other things. Yani, subhanallah, that include my father. May Allah cure all brothers and sisters. That he will become more short tempered during the month of Ramadan. And I advised him, I said to him, you know, just, you know, drink more on sahur time, so it will be helpful for you in the day. So that's one thing. So that's one side. On the other side as well, of course, yani, try not to put yourself in a situation that you're gonna be angry or something, rather than to put yourself in a.
We're hearing echo again.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
How is it better?
It's better from
No,
your side. Now Sheikh Mohammad is having echo.
Just mute it. You stay with us online. Just mute it. Mute it.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself.
Okay.
Carry on,
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's one of the things, and as well, you may as well, you know, don't put yourself in a situation that you're going to get angry, as well as the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, be careful of the things that you're going to apologize out of it. So don't put yourself in a position you're going to apologize. Just stay away from that. Avoid these scenarios. The other thing as well, try your best, inshallah ta'ala, that whenever if you feel angry or something like this, as the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you are standing, then sit down. If you sit down, then lay down. Make wudu, wash your face, you know, refresh yourself, and, you know, move from the place that makes you stressed. These are the things, inshallah, that try to do it. This is a prophetic advice from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and at the same time as well, you know, ask Allah to help you to control your temper, because it's important. And the more that you ask Allah to help you, the more it will be easier for you, inshallah ta'ala. And at the end of the day, Allah is the one who changes us rather than us changing ourselves. And Allah, and as long as we put effort, and Allah said in the Quran, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Allah will not change what is in the people until they would change what is within themselves. So these efforts, inshallah ta'ala, this is an act of change, and Allah will help you, inshallah.
Barakallahu fi. So just to clarify, of course, from the medical point of view, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not giving you medical advice, but in terms of how the body's physiology and things work, if we have sleep deprivation or interruption in our sleep, especially this is what you expect in the last 10 days, so your sleep will be disrupted throughout the night, and you will probably not be also getting enough hydration from fluids, as the Sheikh was saying. This can contribute to your irritable behavior or losing temper quite easily. I mean, it's not just while you're fasting. You can observe this in other people when they have this kind of sleep deprivation and loss of not enough intake of water. So of course you can't drink water during the day, so make sure you drink enough water in suhoor. And often, you know, what we see is if you make wudu several times with cool, normal water and so on, that might cool yourself down, and that will help also something about the temper issues. So there are some physical things that you can do to help alleviate these issues of temper, but of course you should bear in mind that you need to control your anger and your temper as a part of your development and molding yourself within this month. Because if you are going to develop yourself and you're going to train yourself to achieve the taqwa, part of that is anger management. And in fact, if you find an irritable behavior and anger comes in and you're losing your temper, there's one good reason to say, look, I need to really train myself up properly. I'm not there yet. So that's just a couple of points to add there. Now, someone is asking, what about drinking ice water or plain water?
Allah, it's up to you. I don't know. Some people they like ice water. I don't know, but I don't like drinking ice water. I mean, it will get sore throat or whatever. But so it's up to you, whatever is convenient. From when I used to train more. I mean, in the do bodybuilding in the past when I was younger, I was advised by my trainer not to drink cold water, especially after training or when you need hydration, when you need water, like especially after iftar or something. And then that's the advice which I got at that time. And then he said to me, drink either like room temperature or even warmer a bit. Then it will be it's easy to be consumed and taken by the body rather than the cold one. It will be quicker to reach your body. And even you think, oh, but I'm thirsty, I need this. But he said to me, it will be, yes, it will cool you, that the cold water, it will cool you down. But at the same time, it will be not taken from the body quicker. So it will, so the a bit warmer or the room temperature is better as his advice at that time. Again, then this is personal preference.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Now, this is a very important question. This one. What are the signs that Laylatul Qadr has passed, or people have witnessed Laylatul Qadr?
Most of these signs are nonsense. They say there is no dogs barking. There is no whatever. All these signs are, except there is one sign that is peace. That Allah says in the Quran, "Salamun here." Allah says in the Quran, "Salamun" is peace. It's peaceful night. Now that's one thing. The other thing as well, that they said the sunrise of it, that it will be unique compared to other nights. So the what do you call it, the gaze, or not the gaze of the sun, what do you call it, the shine of the sun on that by the sunrise is not as strong as the normal sunrises. This is indicated by Abdullah bin Abbas radiyallahu anhu. He mentioned that. Generally, there is nothing. It's just only a peaceful night and a night which is, you have peace and tranquility, you feel good about it, and all of these things. I mean, that's all.
Was there some mention of some light rain or something before or after the night? No?
None.
Okay.
Now it's working. No, it's not working. Sorry.
It's not working?
For you,
Can you hear my echo, Mansur?
When you're speaking, I don't hear any echo from you, Hashim, but echo, I can hear myself, there's an echo like I'm speaking now, and then when Sheikh Mohammad speaks, also there's an echo that comes through.
Right.
Exactly.
Some wires are connected somewhere. Okay, carry on, guys.
Yeah. So the next question is from Zaf Qureshi. I have only now started taking Islam seriously, and in the previous Ramadans I have not fasted or broken lots of fast for no reason. Do I fast for 60 days for each one, or do I just do it once?
You cannot do either of them because you deliberately fasted. You already broke your fast. What you need to do, you need to increase your voluntary fasting after the month of Ramadan. That's all. And try to be amongst those who the Prophet ﷺ, he said in Hadith, he said, Allah Azza wa Jal, in the day of judgment, the person will be questioned, the first one, his salah. And if his salah was perfect, then he will be amongst those the successful ones. If there are some gaps in his salah, then Allah will ask the angel, see if my servant has voluntary deeds, then or voluntary prayer, then it will be replaced with the obligation prayer that the one that he has missed. And similarly with other obligation prayers, with other obligations in Islam. So that's the same thing. Fasting, there is no way that you make up except that you need to just increase your voluntary prayer, your voluntary fasting and voluntary prayer. That's all. For the things that you missed, and ask Allah forgiveness. That's all. You cannot fast. I mean, on behalf of the days that you deliberately broke them. There is no compensation for that.
Barakallah fi.
Barakallah.
Question related to the questions we had earlier on, but I will just take the second part of it. So if someone is how do they recover from getting angry or something feeling bad during fasting? So the whole question was, can you please advise a Muslim about how to feel or recover if they do get angry or do something bad during fasting?
They have to repent to Allah. Say astaghfirullah, say a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, wash your face, move from the place where it gets you angry, or things that you did something wrong, move it from it. Don't stay in that place. And as I said to you, make wudu if you can. Making wudu, inshallah ta'ala, just calm down and ask Allah to forgive you, etc. These are the things which is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam advice.
Jazakallah khairan.
Well,
The next question is quite interesting. We've had this before, but I think people still want to understand the reality of the fiqh rulings. How do Muslims fast in countries where sun does not set?
Wallahi, they will say that some scholars, they said you go to the closest country to them, which they have the sunset, etc. So they will go with it. Some scholars they are inclined to this, which is the closest country to them, and they will go with that. But the issue is, as they say, when if someone is there, generally. Now, I don't know if there are some this is with the sun doesn't set generally near the North Pole, and I don't know if there is anyone who lives there. We're talking about literally there by the North Pole. But most of the country, even Sweden or these what do you call it? These countries. Huh? Scandinavian countries.
Norway, I think.
The cities, they have sunrise and sunset. Most of the cities, if not all of them. Unless it's very rare, people are very close to the North Pole, that's something else.
Yeah, thank you. But I think the issue people need to understand is that there is a principle, from the Islamic jurisprudence in which you can calculate, if the same question was asked before, if people do remember, if you're on the moon, or if you're on orbit, if you're on a satellite in a space station somewhere, how do you do that? So the prayer and fasting will be calculated accordingly, depending on whether you.
Yes, exactly. Actually, there is in Malaysia there is a mission. They were sent to space. They sent a spaceship, and then the astronauts who were on the ship, they were Muslims, practicing Muslims, and then they asked them, some of the muftis, and actually I agree with the concepts. They said to them, go with Mecca time. Some of them, they said to them, go with Mecca time. And some of them, they said, you go wherever you are in the space, you see where you are on Earth, and you just do with them. Meaning, if you are in the space, you are above, for example, Africa or South Africa or wherever, then you go with South African country, the sunrise, the sunset. Wallahu alam, that could be a valid point. And as well, there is some calculations has to be done and has to be measured. The same thing for the Scandinavian or Northern Scandinavian country, the same thing. They will. I'm inclined to the opinion to say which is the closest city to them, and then we'll do according to the closest city that has sunrise and sunset, and then they'll go with it. Wallahu alam.
Next question: is there any recommended time to wake up for Tahajjud prayer, or can we perform it anytime as long as it's before suhoor?
People, they have you could say misconception about Tahajjud. Tahajjud means the original word of Tahajjud means Qiyam al-Layl, meaning the night prayer. So people, they think that Tahajjud is a specific prayer or a special prayer that is prayed in the last third of the night. No, the Tahajjud is Qiyam al-Layl, which means when you pray Tarawih, you are praying Tahajjud. And when we pray Tarawih, we are praying Qiyam al-Layl. So it's the same. We're talking about the same thing. Qiyam al-Layl, Tarawih. If it's Ramadan, it will be Tarawih. And it is Tahajjud and it's Qiyam al-Layl, the same thing. So if you wanted to pray in the last third of the night, no problem. You can do it, inshallah ta'ala, in the last third of the night before Suhoor or even just before Fajr. It's all of you. It's up to you, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khairan. This question, I think someone's trying to make a point here. What is the difference between Ramadan and the other 11 months? Shouldn't we be good always?
Yeah, we should be always good. So that's why we say the one who worship Ramadan, their worship finish with Ramadan. And then who worship Allah, they worship Allah throughout the year. That's right. We have to worship Allah throughout the year. We have to be good throughout the year. We have to be generous throughout the year. We have to be close to Allah throughout the year. That's what we should do as Muslims. We shouldn't be the worshipper of Ramadan. We should be the worshipper of Allah throughout the year.
Yeah,
Perhaps
but the main difference between doing good in Ramadan and doing good other times is the amount of reward you get in Ramadan is multiplied several times.
Yes, but we have to take advantage of the month of Ramadan as a third effort, as a month change our life to be better, change ourselves to be better, to be closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. So take the concept that we learn in Ramadan and implement throughout the year. And of course the reward is multiple, but at the same time it doesn't mean we neglect the other months as well. And we know as well the best 10 days in the year are not the last 10 nights of Ramadan. The best 10 days in the year is the first 10 days of the Hajj. And the best 10 nights of the year are the last 10 nights of Ramadan.
Yeah, I think that brings us to the question, which is this one, I think. Does the odd days have any speciality for Laylatul Qadr, or only the nights are special for seeking? I think the clue is in the name. He's talking about Laylatul Qadr. So he's saying, are the days special as well, or is it just the nights?
Laylatul Qadr?
Yeah.
What about it?
He's saying, does the odd days have any speciality for Laylatul Qadr? So say, for example, you're seeking Laylatul Qadr. Should you seek it just at night or during the day as well?
No, it's a night of Qadr, but not necessarily in the odd number. We said we discussed this. So it could be the odd number, even number. So that's why you all the nights. You didn't specify the odd number. And it is actually bid'ah to specify odd number more than the other day. So the Prophet said it could be that. It doesn't mean you just specify one number or the 27th. Or the 27th night to specify it on a ibadah. No, actually, you do the ibadah every single night in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And do more. That's what you should do. This is the sunnah.
Yeah. So the clue is in the name. Laylatul Qadr means the night of power.
Yes.
I think that should answer the question.
Next question on the screen. Question from a revert. Can dua be said in your head, or do they need to be spoken out aloud?
No, the dua has to be not speaking out, at least move your lips with it. You don't need to produce sound with it, but just moving your lips, that's how it is. Because even the shahada, you have to move your mouth with it. You have to say it with your tongue. So that's why the a'mal, or the action in Islam, is what is in the heart. You believe in your mind and what is in your heart, and then you act with your limbs and say with your tongue. So you have to say it. Not necessarily with a loud voice, even with the voice, at least moving the tongue, like the tasbih and other things.
Jazakallah. Does that mean when we are doing silent prayers like Dhuhr or Asr, when we are praying, you still have to move your lips?
Yes, you have to move your lips with it, yes. That's what's called, it's not fully silent, it's just moving the lips. That's the minimum of that, the dhikr.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan.
Oh, yeah.
Can that appear before appointed time due to our negligence? Because my grandfather died when we went outside home when he was sick. Oh dear. Do you understand the question, Sheikh?
No, Allah.
Okay, he's saying, can that appear before appointed time?
No, it doesn't appear that Allah decides when the person dies on a specific time, on a specific place. That's Allah Azza wa Jal knows from before. So it doesn't appear before its time. So it's time when it is time when Allah decides the time of it, not us. And many doctors, they will tell someone you will die in 3 months and he dies in 5 years, and so vice versa. So someone who's healthy, they will say you will have long life and he dies next day. So we don't know. So that's why it is when Allah decides.
I think this question is from some sort of a guilt, because he's saying due to the negligence, because my grandfather died when we went outside the home when he was sick. So they feel guilty that they neglected the grandfather when he was sick. They went out.
Yeah, that's why you should repent to Allah Azza wa Jal and try to do the action deeds on his behalf. Give sadaqah on his behalf. Make dua for him. Ask Allah to forgive him. And as you connect the friends that he used to connect with, connect to the relatives that he was connecting with, that's what you should do to your grandfather, inshallah, after his death. Be more sincere in your dua to him, inshallah.
Okay. follow-up
And
question.
there's a common word that even Muslims, they use it. They said he died before his time. That's haram to say this. No one dies before their time. No one dies before their time. They die on their time.
Yep. Just a follow-up question. When you're making dua in the sujud, in prostration, any supplication you're making in prostration, do we have to move our lips?
Yes, exactly. Yes, you have to.
Okay, thank you. So someone said they couldn't hear anything to the question you asked about, what you answering the question, which you asked, do dua have to be said, spoken aloud or not? So just to clarify to
the minimum of that, you have to move your lips with. The minimum of that, you have to move your lips. You don't need to, not only in the heart, it has to come on your lips. So you have to move your lips, the minimum of it. You don't need to produce sound, with a dua, not necessarily with a voice, but moving the lips is the minimum of the dhikr or dua, or reciting behind the imam, or doing tasbih and sujud or ruku' and all of these things. You have to move your lips, that's the minimum of that.
Okay, so it's basically inaudible, but moving your lips, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. A follow-up question from that. In your salah, can you close your eyes when you're performing the salah?
No, that's bid'ah.
Okay.
You have to.
So many people do this without realizing it.
Yeah, they think they have more khushu'. And that's wrong. That's actually, you have to look into the place of your sujood, or at least looking into place of your sujood. This is the sunnah. But to close your eyes, that's not from the sunnah.
Okay, next question. Jazakallah khairan. Question from a revert again. If a revert live with their parents and they don't allow the revert to fast, what can they do? After Ramadan, give food to the poor or what?
Well, I mean, you should have your saying, with all my respect, at the end of the day. And there is no, even for the reverts, eventually there is a clash. It's going to happen eventually, whether you like it or not. So that's why no one can force you to eat or drink. I mean, by law, you cannot be forced to eat or drink. So it's your choice. So that's why you have to choose not to do it, and you have to mention clearly that I'm fasting and I don't want to do it. And then avoid, no problem if you want to sit with them on a table for the food or something, but you don't have to eat until the sunset. That's what you should do. It's not permissible for you to deliberately break your fast. We don't know in certain harsh situation, like what happened to some brothers and sisters in China, which they're being forced to eat, literally forced to eat. That's something else. You're not forced. That's not a force to be forced to do that.
And it's strange, why would a parent force their son or a daughter, knowing that they have reverted to a different way?
I came across, by the way, this situation because some sisters, they contacted me about this, and she told me that literally the problems could happen. And I said to her, sister, you have to be patient. At the same time,
Sorry, we can't.
I said to her, they cannot force you to eat and drink, but you have to be good to them in the same time, and as well, you have to clarify to them, this is my religion, this is how I believe. So I can't eat until the sunset. So it is something you have to clarify. It has to be clarified, and no one can force it. And I said, if they force you to do something against your will, I mean, you don't have to live with them. Try to find somewhere else. And even apply to the government or something that they are forcing me to do things that I don't want, which is it's your right to do that.
Yeah, and they won't be able to. They might have issues with praying at home as well. Then, if it's fasting,
I know that could be eventually. Maybe in the beginning you may hide it, but they will discover. But when do they discover? When the clash happens, be rely on Allah, ask Allah to help you on your situation. But in the same time as well, be firm in your deen. Be firm. So you gotta be the things is not gonna be easy, but be firm in your deen.
Absolutely. Jazakallah khairan.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to have similar questions on this theme. I have two more questions. Should we raise our voice when we're reciting Quran?
You don't have to. Moving the lips is sufficient.
And another question.
But it's best to recite with a voice, so or with tajweed and a voice, and as Allah said, وَرَتِّلْ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا, read Quran with a tartil, with a voice, with beautifying your voice, and with tajweed, etc., and in order. So that's what Allah says in the Quran. So that's why the Quran best to do it in this way. But the minimum of that, moving the lips, is sufficient.
And what about the women? Can they recite the Quran in audible, like loudly?
If they wish, why not?
What if they're outside the home, like in the masjid or something?
If they are outside, if they are in prayer hall, for instance, it's no problem if they are not very loud, and it's something that they could hear themselves. No problem to do it in this way.
We can't hear the Sheikh. Hashim, please mute.
Yeah, if someone will say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin ar-Rahman, like in this voice, no problem. And what's the harm in this? There's no harm for her to do that. And they shouldn't be shy in saying this. And they have no problem to talk to the merchant and buying things, and they are even bargaining on the prices of the goods. And they shouldn't be shy when reading Quran. They will bargain about the price of the shoes and cheese and things like this. They have no problem to talk about it. But when it comes to the Quran, we should be shy. We shouldn't raise our voice with the Quran. No, you can raise your voice, but not very loud. Only normal voice.
Okay. Follow-up question was this. The thinker saying, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh, for dua in sujud, can we say it in English, or has it got to be in Arabic?
Best in Arabic, but you may say it in English. After the 3 tasbih, you may say some dua in Arabic, the Sunnah, and you may, if you want to make dua in English, no problem, inshallah. Whether it's obligation salah or voluntary salah.
Okay. Next question. When do we say this dua? The Prophet ﷺ used to say between the two sajda, two prostrations, "Oh Allah, forgive me, have mercy on me, guide me, heal me, and provide me."
Yes, between the two sajda. That's what. And between two sajda, every two sajda.
I think the answer is within the question itself, isn't it? The Prophet
Yeah,
used to say between the two sajda.
obligation. Maybe he meant, is it for obligation only or voluntary? For both, for any prayer. If you do two sajda, between two of them. Now there is difference of opinion. Can we say it between the two sajda of sahu? Yes, you may do it between the two sajda of sahu, because between two sajda.
Was the dua in Arabic? Waqfirli wa'afini wa'afisni, something like that?
Yeah. رب اغفر لي وارحمني وارفعني وعافني واهدني وارزقني.
Okay. And also there is a dua when you stand up from the ruku, isn't it? حمدا كثيرا
ربنا ولك الحمد حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه بالاسماء بعد اهل الثناء والمجد وحق العبد كلنا لك عبد الله الأمان لما أعطيت ولا مختلف من أحسن بعد الجد منك الجد.
Just another question.
Yeah.
In Salah, do we say Ameen loudly or silently, as some do it loud and some remain quiet?
No, the Prophet said, وَمَدَّ بِهَا صَوْتَهُ. يعني he made it louder. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He made it louder. وَمَدَّ بِهَا صَوْتَهُ. He said, Ameen, like this, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Okay, barakallah fi. So no question relevant at this moment. So just a generic question in terms of preparation for Eid and Eid al-Fitr. What is the advice you're giving, especially the Eid al-Fitr? This is the Eid where we have to provide this obligatory, what do you call it?
Zakat al-Fitr.
Zakat al-Fitr. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what is it paid with, and who do you pay it to? Is there any specific recommendations to a...
Yeah, Zakat al-Fitr is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, sa'. Sa' means to fill the your two fists, 4 times of this. This is sa'. Yeah. So, which is arba'atu amdad. This is mud. This one mud. 4 of this is sa' of food. So it could be grain, barley, could be rice, whatever, some food of the people, or dates or things like that. And it has to be given as food. And as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that tu'matul lis-sa'im, meaning is a food to be given for the needy ones. وطهرة طعمة الفطر طهرة للصائم وطعمة المساكين. That purification for the one who is fasting, and as well طعام or a food to be given to the poor and the needy one. So that's how it should be, and it should be as food, to be given as food to the people. So you may give it as money to organizations that purchase food on your behalf and give it, then no problem. Yani to send to organizations that they will purchase food and give it on your behalf, that's good.
Okay. And
And this is this sa' for every single member of the family. So the man, he has to give on his behalf, on his wife, on his children. If his father or mother living with him, he has to pay on their behalf, he has to give. Even the servant, if you have a servant at home, you have to pay as well on their behalf.
sure. And it needs to be given before Ramadan finishes, before the Eid occurs.
It has to be given before Eid. So in the day of Eid, after the Salat al-Eid, it will be sadaqah. It's after Salat, it will be sadaqah. It's not going to be zakat. But the zakat has to be before Salat al-Eid.
Jazakallah khair.
And you can't give money. You have to give food, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You may give money to organizations that buys food.
Okay, another question on issues of dua. Can I say this between sujud? Oh Allah, forgive me and my parents and my grandparents. Have mercy on me and my parents and my grandparents. Guide me and my parents and my grandparents, in Arabic.
No, just say, stick to the sunnah, to yourself. In the sujud, you make this dua to your father and your mother and everyone. Between the two sajdas, stick to the sunnah. Either to say Rabbi ghfirli 2 times, or Rabbi ghfirli warhamni warzuqni wa'afini wahdini. Those are the ones you may do it in the between the two sajdas. But in sujud, make dua for your father and mother and grandfather and grandmother, no problem.
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah.
We don't seem to have any relevant questions this very minute. So if people, those of you who are commenting on this, it doesn't just necessarily have to be questions relating to just fasting. It could be anything to do with the whole, Islamic etiquettes within Ramadan and just after Ramadan and so on. Sheikh will be willing to take those questions, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Maybe another question on zakat. What is the best way to distribute your zakat? I mean, obviously, in this country, it's not very easy to come by Muslims.
You mean zakat al-Fitr or
No,
zakat
zakat, the mal, zakat al-mal.
The wealth zakat. What about it?
Yeah, what's the best way to find people who are zakat eligible? Because it's not that easy nowadays.
Yeah, try to categories. Try to give it to the people who are in need, the poor and the needy ones, as well the da'wah. And I believe as well the zakat is applicable for the new Muslims, especially new Muslims, as those are mu'allafa qulubhum, those are the one who came to Islam. Even though maybe the beginning of their Islam, they might face some problems and things like this. So we have to dedicate a portion of the zakat towards them.
Okay. And if we wanted to send it to organizations, those who distribute your zakat al-mal on your behalf, is that okay as well?
Yeah, that's fine. Either you do it yourself or you trust someone to do it on your behalf.
Okay, jazakallah.
Well, yeah.
Okay, this is a question, I think I understand it a bit. Someone is asking, what should we say in sujud when we have sajda and reciting Quran? So when we have the prostration sajda we make because of recitation of the Quran and we go down immediately, what is the actual statement that you have to say in sujud?
Firstly, there is no takbir for it. And you don't need to say Allahu Akbar. Secondly, that when you do it, you say tasbih normal, like normal sajda, and then to say سجد وجهي للذي خلقه وشق سمعه وبصره بحوله وقوته تبارك الله أحسن الخالقين. That's the dua. If you don't know this dua, just only the tasbih three times and make dua and then you stand up. But that's the dua which is narrated by Ali radiallahu anhu, that about the Prophet when he was doing the sajda of tilawah, he will say this dua.
Barakallah fi Sheikh. Barakallah.
Thank you, Barakallah.
Okay, I think there doesn't seem to be any questions related to this, but let me just ask you take one random question anyway. Are there two Fir'auns mentioned in the Quran?
No.
Because when Musa alayhi salam was a baby, he was taking care of Asiya because she had no children. I think because, it seems to be quite a large span where when he was a baby and then he was within the household of the Fir'aun, and then later on he deals with Fir'aun in his
No, we're
youth.
talking about the same one.
Yeah. And this is why one of the reasons when scholars are trying to identify who this Fir'aun may be from the Egyptological records, they try to find out if Fir'aun or this, the Fir'aun monarch who had a longer period of his monarchy or his, power.
They said it's Ramses II, but not necessarily. I'm not inclined to this. I don't believe this. This. At the end of the day, history gives us indication for history, but we shouldn't use it as to interpret Islam, because it could be theory. Tomorrow someone will say no, because they said that his body still will reserve. So there are other mummies which is better reserved than the Ramses. So we don't know. Allah.
Yeah, because I think there are indications within the Quranic ayah where the Fir'aun that is dealing with Musa alayhi salam is somehow aware as if it's the same Fir'aun who had dealt with when he was a child. So you have to look at from this, history of Egypt, a Fir'aun that spanned this, and Ramses II, I think, fits within this criteria rather than other pharaohs at that time. So again, this is a historical things, what one can do particular research.
Maybe we don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know. Allah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Raza is asking, I'm eligible to pay zakah, but my wife has some gold. Does zakat need to be paid on it?
Yes, if she has gold, she has to pay
the question was, I am not eligible to pay zakah. Not eligible to pay zakah, but wife has gold.
Yeah, she has to pay the zakat on the gold. Even if she was, she has to pay the zakat on the gold.
If it's above the nisab, yeah?
If it's above the nisab, more than 85 grams. More than 85 grams, she has to pay the zakat.
Yeah. So a question related to this, do husbands have to pay the zakah on the gold or jewelry that the wives have, or it has to be the wives paying the zakah on their gold and silver?
The one who pays the zakah is the one who owns the gold. If he owns the gold and he is giving it to his wife to wear it, then he has to pay it. If she owns the gold, which is generally the case, because there came some rare cases, like literally a husband will own gold and will allow his wife to wear it. That's very strange. Literally, he owns them. He owns the gold. It's his, and he allows her to wear it. But the point is, it's allowed for someone to own gold to, for his wife, or wanted to sell it or use it, whatever. But anyway, so if he owns it, then he has to pay the zakat on his wife. But generally, the case, if the women are owning the gold, and then they have to pay the zakat on behalf of their own gold.
And they are not going to make the husbands to pay for it?
No. If he is voluntarily, willingly, out of good gesture and act of kindness and love and compassion and and feeling wanted to take care of his wife, then no problem. That will be good. That will be a good gesture from him. I'll reward him if he did so. But it's her obligation.
There's a question about history again. According to the Quran, approximately how many years ago was Adam alayhi salam banished from Jannah?
Well, I don't know. Allah, we don't know.
Allahu Alam, of course. This is about, is it true that we cannot perform sunnah prayers if we have missed our obligatory prayers? Missing the obligatory prayers such as last several years, how do I make up for it?
Oh, you have two questions. No, you may perform sunnah before the obligatory prayer if you have the time. If you have the time for it. For example, if you wake up just before the sunrise for Fajr, just before the sunrise, there's only a few minutes until the sunrise. Then the priority for you to pray the obligation one. Now, if you already missed the time of Fajr, and you're already in the the sun already risen. Then in that case, you make wudu, and then you pray the sunnah, and you make adhan and make sunnah, then make iqamah, and then pray the obligation, as the Prophet ﷺ did when he and the whole army they missed the Fajr prayer. Then he sallallahu alaihi wasallam he moved from the place, and then they made wudu, and then they prayed sunnah, and then prayed the obligatory prayer. But for the missing prayer in the past, there is no making up for them. You have only to ask Allah forgiveness and to increase your voluntary prayer, like night prayer and different prayer, whatever you can, and ask Allah to forgive you. Inshallah, with Hajj, inshallah, it will be. If you go Hajj, inshallah, Allah will forgive you and pardon you for that. Because the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah, the first thing would be questioned. The person would be questioned the first thing about his salah. If his salah was perfect, then he'll be amongst the successful one. If there's gap in his salah, Allah will say, "See if my servant has voluntary." And he didn't say if he made it up or not. He said voluntary prayer, and then it would be replaced with the obligation one instead. Obligation one to be granted the mercy of Allah.
Now the plot gets twisted even more. This is about talking about the wives paying the zakat on the gold. What if she doesn't have the money, but she has the gold and jewelry? Does that mean if she says, like, I don't have the money and you pay it?
He doesn't have to. Let her sell part of her gold and do it, or give it up. That's what it means. Literally, this is what it means. So if the gold is very precious to her, then okay, you sell some of it and then you give it out. I mean, at the end of the day, some women. Well, let me tell you something. Why I mentioned this? I came across. They say some scholar. They said you don't have to pay the zakat on the gold which is worn by the woman if the women wear it. I came across a rich woman, may Allah bless her, that she had nearly 3.5 kilograms of gold. 3.5 kilograms of gold, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And may Allah increase her in all khair, no problem. If she earned it in halal way, she was gifted by gifts, this and that, alhamdulillah. So to say to her, you can't pay zakat on this, and then what she used to do, she will wear something every day. So to say, in order to skip the zakat, so she will fill herself with gold one day, the next day will fill herself with another one. Subhanallah, to not to pay the zakat, but actually she has to pay the zakat on the gold which is worn by the woman, and the husband has nothing to do with that. It is her duty to do it, even if she sells gold or give it out. So he has to do that. And the point is behind the zakat, in order not to keep the money just only reserved with a certain category of people. So in order the money to be distributed. That's one of the maqasid of the Sharia and zakat.
Of course, you clarified earlier about whether if the husband, out of their own kind gesture, wants to pay the zakat, that's a different question. That's still permissible, but it is not obligatory on the husband to pay the zakat on behalf of the wives.
Yes,
as you have clarified. Okay. Someone is asking whether they can give zakat to their nephew.
Yes, if you wish to do so, but try to see if it's eligible for zakat, or if someone more priority than your nephew, etc. You have to understand these things.
Mm-hmm.
So there are categories you can't give zakat to, like your parents, I think your uncles as well, isn't it?
No.
You can't give to them.
Just parents or people who are under responsibility. If your sister is under your responsibility, then you don't give her zakat. You take care of her. If she is independent from you, then in that case, it may be. It depends.
Jazakallah khairan.
Right.
This is a question about reading the surah. Must the surahs of the Quran be recited in order in salah? For example, first rak'ah you recite Surah Al-Ikhlas, and then second rak'ah you recite Surah Al-Kafirun. Or does it break salah?
Preferably, but not obligatory. Preferably, yes, but not obligatory. But if it's the same surah, you cannot recite the page after before the page before. Like, for example, you cannot start Baqarah to recite the last page of Baqarah, and then in the first rak'ah, and then the second rak'ah to recite the first page of Baqarah. That's not permissible. That's called tankees, which means reciting backwards. But in the different surahs, it's okay. I don't see there is no restrictions with this, but preferably to do it in order. The preferred to do it in order.
This one's an interesting one. How can we convince a stingy but wealthy relative to pay zakah?
Remind them with Akhir. And Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ إِنَّمَا يَكْنِزُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا. Those who have gathered the gold and the silver, they only gathered in their bellies hellfire. So they have to be warned of this, and they have to fear Allah, let them to fear Allah from these things. And they have to understand that they only what they possessed, they only possessed hellfire in their bellies. So they have to fear Allah and they have to give it out, and not to give it the zakat. Allah is not asking you everything. Allah is asking 2.5% is nothing compared with what you have.
Jazakallah khair. We're coming close to the end of this Ramadan Q&A. Just one interesting question. I think it comes from someone, maybe, I don't know. I mean, just if we were to show this question, you'll understand. Who is more dearest to Allah? Someone who fears Allah more than he loves him, or someone who loves Allah more than he fears him? You probably get what kind of...
We have to understand both of them. They didn't get the point. They have to have two things: fear and love in the same time. So you don't fear to the extent you lose hope in Allah Azza wa Jal, and you lose hope from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. And you love Allah Azza wa Jal to the extent that you don't fear Him as if there is nothing, as if nothing will happen to you. You have to be balanced. Fear and love, they have to be balanced in order to be.
Give the parable of the bird, Sheikh, the one with the two wings and the head.
Yeah, for example, like a bird, fear and love, and as well hope in Allah Azza wa Jal. All of them is like the fear that if the bird cannot fly without one wing, with the one wing. So the wing, it has to have two wings. The one wing is the fear, and the other wing is love, and then which is there hope in Allah Azza wa Jal, etc.
Jazakallah khairan. We would like to thank our audience who have participated in asking us questions, and we do apologize sincerely for this technical glitch that we are having through echoes, but we tried our best to make our Sheikh audible, and inshallah he has clarified as clearly as possible the questions that you have asked. And if you have any more questions, write them in our chat, and in the future streams, inshallah, we'll try to get these questions answered first. So as always, we'd like our Sheikh to just give a brief nasiha at the end, inshallah, because we are still in Ramadan and we're still fasting, and Ramadan is coming to a close. So please, Sheikh, give us some nasiha so that how we can take the last few days remaining, we can better ourselves and prepare ourselves to be the people of taqwa, what's remaining for us.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. That I just wanted to remind myself and one of my brothers that take advantage of these days. Before Allah told us in the Quran, ayyaman ma'dudat, those are counted numbers of days. And these counted numbers, they finish. Ramadan started yesterday, and tomorrow is going to finish. So that's why don't be amongst those who is going to be regretting that they have done more. And all people are going to regret. All of us are going to regret that we didn't take advantage of the month of Ramadan. But actually, be amongst those who at least do your best in order to gain the pleasure of Allah to the best of your ability. And as well, my brothers and sisters, that these days are days of the dua. Remember your brothers and sisters in Islam in your dua. Don't make the dua just only about you. Make the dua is about all your brothers and sisters in Islam, especially those who are under oppression, like our brothers and sisters in Palestine, like our brothers and sisters in Rohingya, like our brothers and sisters in East Turkestan, like our brothers and sisters all around the world. They are in need for our dua. They are in need for our dua. We should make dua. Remember them in your dua. And as well, don't think about that Allah at the end of the day, Allah is merciful and Allah is Rahim. So always have hope in His Rahman, His mercy, and His kindness, tabarak wa ta'ala. And always be close to Allah with your deeds, with your righteous deeds. And as well to remind myself, and remind my brother, yes, Allah is merciful, but as well He is shadidul iqab. He is severe punisher. He punishes severely, Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, for the people who neglect His guidance. So that's why I try to not to be amongst those who gain the anger of Allah, or those who are misguided. Be amongst those who follow as-sirat al-mustaqim, the path of the truth, the path of righteousness, the path of the prophets and messengers of Allah, and the truthful people, and the martyrs, and the pious people. This is the path what we wanted to be amongst those. We ask Allah to accept from us, and you ask Allah to increase us all in knowledge and iman. And we ask Allah to unite us with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Jannah.
Ameen.
Jazakumullah khairan.
Barakallah feek, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair. So inshallah until next Saturday, we're going to close this stream. And yes, please keep us all in your du'as. Jazakallah khair for those who have contributed. Inshallah, make dua for the Sheikh and his family as well. He gives his time in a very busy schedule in Ramadan. May Allah bless him. And inshallah, we'll see you soon, Sheikh. Really a pleasure to have you on the panel again. Okay.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم